Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Went to One Piece World and Joins Monkey D. Luffy Team Part 9. Before we start, please go support KingJoka for writing that awesome fanfic. Chapter 28. Izuku. It's been a good while since I picked up my sword. Even more so since I used these braces. Izuku comments while slowly drawing his green sword with its metal brace. Izuku. Now then, let's begin, shall we? Izuku says as he points his blade towards Ichako, Momo and Shoji, who have all got their katanas drawn. Shoji would be the first to charge straight at Izuku and try to slash him with all 6 of his katanas from above. Izuku switches his katana to his left hand and raises it above his head to block Shoji. He notices Ichako and Momo charging at him from his right and left respectively. Izuku presses his right palm against Shoji's chest and blasts him away using Ryo. He uses his katana to block Momo's slash and his right arm to block Ichako's. Ichako. So tough. Izuku. Well, it is made of steel after all. Izuku coats his arm and katana in Ryo and repels Ichako and Momo. He spins around and raises his knee to block a side kick from Tenya. Izuku narrows his eye which glows red and coats his leg in haki. He pushes Tenya's leg aside and sidesteps to the left to avoid an axe kick from Maruko. Izuku hits Tenya with a hard straight kick to the gut and sends him rolling. Maruko looks up to see Izuku pulling on his index finger with his thumb. Using a combination of Ryo and One for All, Izuku knocks Maruko off her feet with a flick of his finger. Izuku cracks his neck and turns his head slightly to avoid a water bullet to the face. Izuku squeezes his left and coats his gauntlet in water. He swings his hand and fires a water bullet at the ground where a camouflaged Sayu was hiding. Izuku would pull out his clean attack as Denki would try to sneak up on him from behind. A large black whip fist would burst out from the ground and punch Denki in the gut. Izuku. Weather egg. Izuku swings his clean attack and launches an egg up into the sky. The egg cracks open and dark clouds pour out. Flying high in the sky is Tokoyami, who's carrying Yuga on his back. Yuga. I've got him in my sight. Tokoyami. Good, take careful aim my friend. Tokoyami looks down to see Izuku looking up at them and wiggling his eyebrows. Tokoyami. What? Before Tokoyami can finish getting the words out of his mouth, both him and Yuga get punched into the ocean by a giant frozen fist from above. KNT. Charge. Izuku looks ahead of himself to see Crimson Riot Kirishima and Molten Steel Tetsutetsu stampeding towards him, with Sato and Jirota charging behind them. Kirishima. With our super defenses put together, there's no way you break through us. Tetsutetsu. Extreme hardness and extreme firepower, we're practically a tank. Izuku. Is that so? Izuku would raise and outstretch his right leg out to his side. He coats his leg in haki and charges it up with 50% of Ofa. Izuku. Renkyaku. Gale Cannon. Izuku swings his leg and fires a massive compressed air blast. KTSJ. Ah. The group gets blown apart and each of them gets sent flying across the island and the sea. Izuku lowers his leg, turns around and proceeds to throw a punch at seemingly no one. The shockwave caused from the punch would knock an invisible Toru out of the air and into a tree. Toru. Ow, he got me. Izuku. My observation haki is particularly good, so you'll have to do better than that. Speaking of. Izuku would raise his open-palmed right hand up into the air while a grey blob would slide across the ground. Izuku. Flash freeze. Izuku clenches his fist just as the blob leaps into the air. The blob starts to become slower as it reforms into Shinso before coming to a complete stop. Izuku. Any liquid, even if it's metal, doesn't really do well in extreme cold. Shinso. SS smart AAS. Izuku. I'll warm you up later, but for now. Izuku ducks to avoid a glob of acid hurled at his face. Tape would then shoot out and wrap around Shinso's frozen body before pulling him away. Izuku stands up and faces Mina, who's inside a giant creature made of her acid. Mina. Fufufu, what's your move, Midoriya? Even if you try and freeze me, I'll just melt your arm before you can Mina raises an eyebrow in confusion as Izuku raises his hand up to his mouth and forms a circle with his fist. Izuku takes a deep breath and takes aim at Mina with his left eye. Izuku. Ice blast. Izuku exclaims before he breathes out a dense frigid cold mist that immediately envelops Mina. The mist fades to reveal Mina encased in her own frozen acid. Mina. Not cool, man. Izuku. Really, I thought it was pretty and ice. Izuku would reflexively throws his arm out to the side and blocks a giant grape flung at him by Mineta, who's flying with Koda on a giant Chikoro bird. Mineta. Gotcha, no more freezing shit for you, get him. Ijiro and Itsuka would charge at Izuku from his sides. Izuku. I know it's been a while since I've actually fought, but you all seem to be forgetting how this arm works. White blow. Izuku launches his frozen fist along with the giant grape back at Mineta and Kota. The duo get caught off guard by this and in turn get hit by their own attack. Izuku reforms his fist just in time to block from the right from Ejiro. He quickly pulls Ejiro closer before hitting him with a hard headbutt, followed by a straight kick to the gut that knocks the wind out of him. Itsuka runs in and throws a punch with her enlarged and hockey-coated fist. Izuku hardens his muscles and takes the punch head-on without flinching. Itsuka can feel the shock from her own punch reverberate through her arm. She tries to pull her hand back, but Izuku grabs onto it with his black whip. Izuku swings Itsuka and slams her into Ejiro, sending them both flying. The loud explosion sounds, making Izuku smirk. Izuku engulfs his right leg in white flames and coats them in hockey. He swings his leg and clashes with Katsuki, whose leg is also engulfed in white flames. Green and orange lightning erupts from their clashing legs. Izuku. Can you handle the heat, Kaken? Katsuki. You copycat. Katsuki launches an explosion from the bottom of his boot directly into Izuku's face. Izuku's arm reaches through the smoke and tries to grab Katsuki. Katsuki jumps back and the smoke clears to reveal Izuku's face coated in hockey. Izuku's eye would look to his left as he could see an approaching glacier. Izuku cocks back his right fist and coats in hockey. He powers up to 70% and coats his fist in Ryo. Izuku. Crash pistol. Izuku throws a punch that completely shatters the ice without making contact. He then quickly raises his arm and blocks a flaming slash from Shoto, who attempted to attack him from above. Izuku. You can't melt my arm. Shoto. And you can't freeze my blade. Tatsuki. Look sharp, assets. Tatsuki charges at the duo while engulfed in a ball of black flames. Tatsuki. Hell cute. Grill shot. Tatsuki leaps forward with his right leg outstretched. Izuku pushes Shoto off of him and crosses both of his arms. Katsuki clashes with Izuku's arms. Izuku's feet get dragged across the ground as he withstands the impact of Katsuki's kick. Izuku emits purple mist from his right arm and creates a large purple ice wall in his path. Izuku crashes through the wall and breaks his momentum. He uncrosses his arms and breaks apart their clash. Izuku holds out his right leg and activates the accelerator on his boot. Izuku. Renkyaku. White flash. Izuku fires an air blade that almost immediately catches up to Katsuki. Katsuki, unable to do anything else, crosses his arms and tries to tank the blow. Katsuki collides with the attack and gets sent flying. His back hits the ground, but his momentum doesn't break even for a moment. Izuku would stand back up straight and hold his arms out to the side. He narrows his eye as Shoto appears behind him with his flaming blade. Izuku. Kamisori. Izuku vanishes just in time to avoid a slash from Shoto. Before Shoto can turn around, he gets hit with a hard kick to the back and sent flying in the same direction as Katsuki. Katsuki manages to stop himself by digging his blades into the ground and stands up only for Shoto to crash into him. The green blur zooms through the air and Izuku appears right above the two of them with his fist cocked back and coated in Ryo. Izuku. Crash pistol. Shoto and Katsuki get punched into the ground by Izuku's Ryo, creating a large crater. Izuku lands on the ground and lets out a sigh while wiping his brow. Izuku. Alright, I think that's a wrap for morning training, guys. Izuku says for his classmates to moan and groan as they gather together after getting up off the ground or crawling out of the ocean. Denki. Ow, 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 what the heck? How the hell are you stronger after spending 2 weeks in a coma and 3 in a wheelchair? Izuku. Well, we've got 4.5 months left till we go to war, you can't expect me to let myself get rusty. Katsuki. Ugh, damn it all. Shoto. That was pathetic of us. Waruko. Bastard gets himself a bounty of 1 billion and suddenly he's a big shot. Zero. Well, to be fair, being worth 1 billion kinda automatically makes you a big shot. Mina. CC, can someone thaw me out of here already? Shinso. CC could use some help TT2. Shoto. Hang on, I'm on it. Shoji. Still, that Ryo hockey makes a huge difference, huh? Hiroshima. Just when I thought I'd finally caught up when it comes to hockey, you hit us with that. Itsuka. Ow, those 6 powers or whatever they're called are just the icing on the damn cake. Ichako. You really mastered them, just like that, huh, Deku-kun? Izuku. Well, I wouldn't exactly say I mastered them. See. Purple mist emits from Izuku's arm and forms a sizable cloud in front of him. Izuku snaps his fingers and turns the cloud into a block of purple ice. Izuku clenches his fists, coats them in Ryo and presses them up against the ice. Izuku. Rakugan. Izuku's hockey flows into the block of ice, causing it to immediately shatter. The ice evaporates back into mist and Izuku's arms return to normal. Izuku. I can't really perform this technique correctly, so I'm making up for my inadequacy with Ryo. Raw blue cheese was even stronger without advanced haki, meaning there's room for me to make it way stronger. Mineta. Well, that's not a scary thought at all. Izuku. If any of you guys want to advance your armament haki, I'll help with your training as best I can. Though we'll probably need some special equipment for that. Itsuka. What kinda special? Itsuka would get interrupted by a large boom and the ground tremoring beneath the group's feet. Mineta. What the hell was that? Did someone drop a bomb? Izuku. Ah, that. Well, it'd be easier for me to show you what's going on rather than tell you. Izuku draws his warp sword and slices open a large portal for everyone to peer through. The group gather together and look through the portal to see the other side of the island. There they can see both Luffy and Katakuri sparring. Luffy would duck and jump to avoid Katakuri's attacks, while Katakuri blocks Luffy's blows with his hardened arms. The two cock back their fists before clashing without touching and erupting into an enormous surge of black lightning that tears up the surroundings. Izuku closes the portal just in time to prevent a giant boulder from crashing into the group. Mineta. Jesus Christ, how the hell is this island gonna survive those two? Izuku. I'm not quite sure. Well, anyways, it's time for a break. We'll resume sparring later in the afternoon. Later. Izuku. What, of course she's laid eggs before. Izuku would say while holding onto a tarp covering an object as he's speaking to a very concerned Mei and Melissa. Izuku. I'm surprised you guys never noticed. Mei. Well, that's cause you usually clean Kuro's nest. Melissa. Are they going to hatch? Izuku. Of course not, Kuro's a bike after all. Mei. But she's also a bee. Izuku. A bird, I know. But can you honestly look me in my one good eye and tell me you expect a motorcycle's eggs to hatch into mini motorcycles? Mei. That is a very weird sentence, but point proven. Melissa. So what do we do with the eggs? Do we cook them? Izuku. Well, at first, I gave them to Sanji-san, but apparently they taste like oil. Melissa. Did he eat them? Izuku. No, Luffy-senpai did. Mei. Okay, that makes more sense. Izuku. Now I just use them for Sea King bait. You can just chuck them in the freezer. Anyways, it's time for me to unveil the newest addition to my soldier dock system, check it out. Izuku exclaims as he pulls off the tarp. The tarp reveals a slim, scarlet red, three-wheeled motorcycle with a roaring lion figurehead. The wheels are large and have little ridges sticking out, and the seat is long and puffy. Izuku. The Crimson King v. M&M. Ooh. Izuku. I love Kuro, and she'll always be my go-to ride, but CK here is for when speed is the highest priority. Kuro could already ride the skies and earth, but CK takes it a step further by conquering the sea as well. The body is light and the tires are extra buoyant with tiny paddles that help propel them on water. And thanks to our trip to Skypia, I've got access to Milky Dials. I can create cloud roads that the CK can ride on, letting us ride through the air for a good while. And if I ever need extra speed, I can activate the booster jet shells. So what do you girls think? M&M. Cool. Izuku. Shishy, I'm glad you guys like it. Izuku says with a wide smirk as Kuro would walk up to the bike. The bird looks unamused before pecking at the figurehead resentfully. M&M. She's already jealous. The next day. Izuku dressed in a yukata can be found sitting in front of an unmarked grave. He looks down at the giant paintbrush laid in front of the tombstone with an indifferent look in his eye. He lets out a sigh before placing down a plate of cabbage rolls and standing up. He turns around and walks up to Izo who had been waiting for him. Izuku. I apologize for having you bring me here. Izo. It's okay. You're paying your respects to the dead. You knew him before everything that had happened. It's now your time to come to terms with things. Izo says, making Izuku smile a little. And so the two would go on their way, leaving the snowy region of Ringo to make their way back to the flower capital. The duo would walk through the lively streets, stopping here and there to pick up sweet snacks and other tasty foods. Eventually, they find themselves inside the castle where all the others. Izo. We're back. Izuku. With snacks. Iri. Yay. Ichako. Machi. Izuku. Of course. Izo. Where's Momonosuke Dono? Deku. He went to go gather everyone, he should be returning any moment now. Momonosuke. We have returned. Deku. See. Izuku looks up from eating some soba to see Momonosuke with a group of people gathered around him. Izuku. I don't think I'll ever get used to seeing you like this. Zoro. His bark doesn't match his size. Momonosuke. Why are you comparing me to a dog? Toko. Ha 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 ha, even Shogun-sama gets chewed by Samurai-san. Iori. That's just like Zorojuro-san. Momonosuke. Ugh, I sometimes wish that rejuvenation was permanent. Otsuru. My, they're as lively as ever. Hinnaman. I suppose they are. Mineta. How the hell is this guy of all people married? Sukiyaki. So you're the one who Nidai Kitetsu was entrusted to. Izuku. Yeah, that's me. Sukiyaki. I had wondered what kind of swordsman would be wielding a cursed blade of this caliber. You must have incredible Ryo to have wielded it for so long without losing your life. Izuku. Well, to be fair, I came pretty close to doing that a couple of times. Sensei. Shinobu. Ah, oh Tama-chan. You look so much stronger that I didn't recognize you. I hope you've been keeping up with your training. Tama. Yeah, I'm gonna be an even better shinobi than you someday. Shinobu. Fufu, I look forward to that day. Luffy. Aren't you missing a few guys? Luffy would ask while Baby Ace and Bell would play with Najire and Hiyori behind him. Hinnaman. Denjiro and Raizo are busy dealing with skirmish that's occurring on the outskirts of Kuri. Inuyarashi and Nakamamushi are outside having a stern talking to Okared. Ginbei. Well, she brought it on herself by stowing away on the ship to escape her duties. Yamato. I miss the taste of Wano's food. Let's boil a pot of Oden next. Momonosuke. Sounds good. We'll have a banquet tonight and party. Everyone. Yeah. Katsuki. TCH, I'm getting sick of all these parties. Satsuna. Loosen up a little, will ya? Shoto. That's like telling a chicken to not cluck. Katsuki. The hell you say? Izuku. Before we get overtaken by the party mood. I'd like to ask for a favor. Sukiyaki. What is your request? Izuku. I heard Wano was a land of incredibly skilled craftsmen and metallurgy. Many of us are attempting to master Ryo, and so for their training, I'd like to ask for about 20 thick steel blocks. I'm more than willing to pay, but would that be possible? Sukiyaki. Of course. But of course, such a request will take some time to complete. Izuku. That's fine. Almost forgot. I'd also like a sea prism stone shackle of low quality if that's not a problem. Sukiyaki. Oh. What could you possibly need that for? Izuku. Well, I need it for my own special training, you could say. Zoro. Oi, hurry up with the sake, it's not a party unless there's booze. Luffy. And tons of meat, let's stuff our bellies and party hard. Momo. They wanted a banquet, but it seems more likely that it will turn into a festival. Hiroshima. Hell yeah, that sounds fun as hell. Tetsu. Tons of tasty food, fireworks and shrine carrying, it's like we never left home. Frankie. Alright, if we're gonna do this we might as well do this right. We'll build a super float and parade it through the city, you boys with me? Hey Auntie. Hell yeah. Usopp. Yosh, festival. Luffy, DENKI and Mirio. Festival. Midnight. Boys are so energetic. Robin. Smile, at least they're having fun. The next day. With all the leaves of the island's trees fallen and withered, it's very clear that winter is coming for Riskana once more. Izuku is seen exiting the workshop of his ship while carrying a large amount of lumber. Izuku. According to Nami-san, a huge blizzard is on its way, somehow in spite of us being in the calm belt. So I really can't be lax when it comes to stocking up on firewood. I hope this'll be enough to last a whole week. Izuku makes it to the gangplank connecting to the dock, but stops when he notices something. He sees Eri standing frightened next to someone squatting in front of something. He gets closer and can clearly see that the person is Eustace Kid, and in front of him, an Eri is a scorpion hissing angrily. Kid shifts his gaze to Eri, who still seems scared before looking back at the arachnid in question. He widens his eyes and knocks out the angry little menace with a small burst of Conqueror's Haki. Kid. If you keep letting something like fear get in the way, you'll never get a handle on that Haki. You're already stronger than that bug, there's no need to be afraid. Eri. Oh okay. Kid. Good, I can tell, you're back there, punk. Izuku. Is there something I can help you with? Kid. I came here looking for Killer. I know he's around here somewhere. Izuku. Yeah, he was here earlier, but then he left for a trip to a hot spring with Ragdoll. Kid. TCH, so that's what he's been up to. Kid would say as he stands up and turns around to face Izuku. He digs in his pocket and pulls out a small sack of beeli. He places the beeli on top of Izuku's pile of wood before making his way to the gangplank. Kid. Go buy yourself a new bed with that. Kid says before walking off the ship, leaving Izuku and Eri by themselves. Izuku. Is that some sort of saying in this world? Izuku creates an ice fist to grab the bag and hold it up to his face. Izuku. Hey, there's actually a decent sum of money in here. In fact, it seems like just enough money to replace the bed in the workshop that burn and burr. Izuku would go silent, his mouth would slowly open out of shock, and his eye would widen as he finally puts the pieces together in his head. Just then, Vernon would rather unfortunately walk up the gangplank and board the ship. She would immediately notice the state Izuku is in and would then try to stealthily turn around and walk away. She gets stopped as an ice hand places itself on her shoulder, while Izuku would turn to look at her. Izuku? Why? Vernon. Wait, I can explain. Izuku. In my own workshop. Vernon. Look, just hear me out here. Izuku. Alright, I listen. Vernon. Okay, so it happened the day before you came out of your coma. 3 weeks ago. Vernon. Achoo, sniffle, damn it, why did I get stuck on watch-out duty in the middle of extreme winter, my hair is barely keeping me warm. Vernon would complain as she sat against the main mast across from Izuku's room. Kid. Ooey killer. Kid's voice would yell out as he walked up on the deck, catching Vernon's already frustrated attention. Vernon would stand up angrily and toss aside the blanket she was using. Vernon. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? Kid. It's you. Vernon. Midoriya is recovering in there and we don't need your loud ass voice waking him up early. Kid. Buzz off, I'm just trying to find killer. Vernon. I don't give a crap, get the hell off the ship. Kid. You can't tell me what to do, you cheap candle. Vernon. Well, you can't do shit to me here unless you want to get on the captain's bad side, so you can't stop me from telling you what to do. Kid. Oh, go buck yourself. Vernon. Buck me yourself, you coward. Kid would slam his metal hand on the mast behind Vernon, making her go quiet. Vernon could feel the anger leave her body and widen her eyes meekly. Back to the present. Vernon. Blush after that, he picked me up and carried me into the workshop. He sat me down on the bed and then I pulled down his kilt and pants and took out his. Izuku. Stop, for the love of God, stop. Izuku would scream out while using black whips to cover Erie's ears. Vernon. Was that too much? I was already blurring out a lot of the details. Izuku. Of course it was too much, Erie's right here. Vernon. Oh, right. I forgot. Izuku. Ugh, look, I don't really care if you have relations with others, just don't have them on my ship or any of my beds. Vernon. No worries, this was only a one-off thing I think. Erie. What are you guys talking about? Izuku. Things you don't need to worry about for at least the next 20 years. Meanwhile, on an island known for its hot springs. Ragdoll. Killer, stay with me. Tomoko would exclaim as she tried to pull Killer's sinking body out of the water. Killer would luckily get saved by Katakuri, who just happens to be sitting next to the two of them alongside Ryuko, reaching in and pulling his head out of the water. Killer. I did not think this through. The next day. Extreme winter is hitting hard for Riskana. A massive blizzard is forcing everyone to keep themselves indoors and hold off on training for the week until it subsides. Shoto cabin. Kiryu is sitting next to the cabin's fireplace and trying to warm himself up. Momo. It must be difficult being endothermic, Rin-kun. I made you a thick blanket to help keep you warm. Shoto. Have some hot chocolate too. Kiryu. Thanks, you guys. This helps a lot. Momo. It's our pleasure. I can make you a heating pad too if you'd like. Shoto. I'll cook up a hot meal. If you have any allergies make sure to let me know. Kiryu. Sure. This is so nice. It's like I'm a married couple's grandchild. I really lucked out by getting roomed together with these two. I wonder if everyone else's groups are this pleasant. Pitsuki cabin. Setsuna. Be reasonable, damn it. Pitsuki. Get bent. Pitsuki and Setsuna would argue while fighting over control of a pizza paddle. Setsuna. I'm not letting you put a pizza decked with those ungodly peppers in the oven. Pitsuki. If you don't like it, just eat the other pizza. This is why I made two. Setsuna. Yeah, but you still top that one off with habaneros. You should have let me pick my own damn toppings. While the two are arguing, Denki would quietly poke his head up from the small kitchen island where the already cooked pizza is cooling. Denki. Whisper, I'm just gonna add a bit of oregano here. Denki would raise his hand to apply said topping, but immediately pulls it back down to avoid a pizza wheel flung at him by Kitsuki that gets stabbed into the wall. Kitsuki. Oregano is for savages. Setsuna. Haha, got it. Kitsuki. Damn it. Izuku cabin. Ichako. Su, you still good? Sayu. Yeah, I'm fine now that the fire's going strong. I'm just sorry that Izuku-kun had to do all of today's cooking by himself. Ichako. Well, Deku-kun looked happy while he was cooking, so I don't think it really bothered him. Izuku's room's door would then open, causing Tsuyu and Ichako to look in that direction. There they see Izuku wearing just his hero pants with his black sword and a shackle around his right wrist. Tsuyu. Aren't you dressed a little too coldly for this weather, Izuku-kun? Izuku. For here maybe, but I'm gonna be gone for a little while, and this attire is more fitting. Ichako. Where are you going, Deku-kun? Izuku. I'm heading to a certain island to train. Train. But it's supposed to be our week off. Izuku. Yeah, but I think I've had enough off time for a good while. I want to keep on the grind. Ochako. What kind of training are you gonna do? Izuku. It's a bit hard to explain with words. It's a special kind of training, let's leave it at that. Izuku says before slashing open a portal. Izuku. Well, I'll see you guys later. Ochako. Wait, Deku-kun. Is it alright if we could come with? Izuku. Huh? You wanna come with? Ochako. Yeah, anything beats staying stuffed in here. Right, Tsu. Actually, I'm already pretty comfortable. I think I'll stay. Ochako. Oh, okay. Can I come with, Deku-kun? Izuku. Well, the island's pretty safe so I guess there's no risk here. Sure, let's go. Ochako. Alright, we'll be back later, Tsu-chan. Take care. Would wave goodbye as both Izuku and Ochako would cross through the portal. On the other side, Ochako would immediately get hit by a wave of heat. Ochako covers her eyes from the bright light while Izuku equips his mouth mask and activates his visor. Izuku taps Ochako on the cheek making her notice the pair of sunglasses he's holding out for her. She puts them on and can see the large desert island that they're on. Ochako. I wasn't expecting this. Izuku. Quite the contrast to our home, right? Here, I've got an umbrella and some cold packs for you to use. There's some ice water in my bag too for you to drink. Ochako. Thanks. After a bit of preparation, Izuku and Ochako would embark on their journey. Ochako. Deku-kun, this is quite the harsh environment. What kind of training can you do in a place like this? Izuku. Well, it's not this island that's important for the training. It's just that there's something on the island I need for it. As for the training itself, well, it was recommended to me by a powerful man. So I've got no doubt that it's incredibly effective. So that sword of yours can take you wherever you want, right? Roughly 8 months ago Izuku's perspective, Dressrosa. Izuku. Yeah, Kinda. The royal family said the sword could take you back to where you once had been. Izuku would explain to Kuzan who's listening and while sitting on a block of ice. Kuzan. Ah, so that's how it works. Izuku. With this, I might be able to go home. It's a scary thought honestly. Leaving everyone. Kuzan. Mind if I use it for a quick second? Izuku. Kuzan. Skeptical, huh? Well, I suppose you've got every right to be. I swear I won't try anything. Besides, I'm doing you a favor so you might as well do me one. Izuku. Fair enough. Izuku says as he tosses the sword at Kuzan while holding onto the scabbard. He catches it and stands up. He examines the blade for a moment before slicing open a portal in the air. Kuzan. Arara, it actually works. Come on, let's go. Kuzan says as he walks through the portal. Izuku would quickly follow after him and cross through. Izuku finds himself standing in a shipyard full of scrapped battleships. Izuku. What is this place? Kuzan. It's an old ship graveyard that's near what used to be Marineford and is now the G1 naval base. Izuku. A naval base. You. Kuzan. Relax, I'm not with the Navy either. If someone shows up, I'll deal with them. Kuzan says for Izuku to still remain on guard. Izuku would follow behind Kuzan as he walked through the graveyard. Eventually, they would come across a strange sight for Izuku to behold. Standing before the two of them are two massive battleships. Most notably, the armored hulls of the ships are indented. Kuzan. Here they are. The battleship bags. Kuzan says as presses his hand against the hull of the left ship. Izuku. Battleship bags. Kuzan. You've heard of punching bags before, right? Same thing. Izuku. You did this? Kuzan. Yeah, I suppose I did. Kuzan says while looking at the other battleship with the dented-in hull. He lowers his hand before turning back to look at Izuku. Kuzan. Want me to tell you how it works? Back to the present. Izuku. There it is. Izuku says as Ochako reaches the top of the same hill he's on. Her eyes widen as she sees a giant battleship hidden in the sand. She slides down the hill with Izuku and approaches the ship's armored hull. Izuku stores away his umbrella and clenches his right hand into a fist. Izuku. There are 2 rules when it comes to battleship bags. No devil fruits and no hockey. Izuku cocks back his fist and takes aim at the hull. Izuku. Now let's get started. Izuku exclaims as he throws a punch. Meanwhile, Germa Kingdom. The Neolab's Mad Ammo is sitting cross-legged on the floor in front of a large monitor. On the monitor is a video of Izuku fighting against a league of villains. Niji. What's he doing? Yanji. He's watching a video recording of the Straw Hat Brat in combat. Apparently the gas bastard managed to buy it off of Clown. Ammo would watch intently and carefully study Izuku's movements. Using his telekinetic powers, Ammo would pause the video and have it replay a certain clip of Izuku throwing a one-for-all powered punch. Ammo gets up and throws a punch following Izuku's exact movements. He notices the lack of explosive power in his punch compared to Izuku's. The video then changes to Izuku using his Yuki no Yoru. Ammo clenches his fist and engulfs it in flames. He solidifies the flames and has them take on the same large crucifix-shaped blade. He gives a quick swing and creates a massive flaming shockwave that cuts and melts through a giant iron door. He looks back up to the monitor and stares intensely at Izuku. 1 month later. The portal would open up in the middle of an island. From out of the portal walks Izuku, Kirishima, Tetsutetsu, Kyoka, Manga, Toru, Pony, Itsuka, Ejiro, Mineta and Ryuko. The students look around to find themselves in an old stone city. Kyoka. Really brought us to one hell of a creepy place, Midoriya. Izuku. Creepy. An ancient city like this and nothing but a wonder. Toru. That sounds like something that'd come out of Robin Sensei's mouth. Ejiro. So what kind of training do you have planned for us today? Izuku. It's simple really. Today is a battle royale. You all have 4 minutes to scatter around the city. After those 4 minutes are done, you'll navigate the city, try to find each other and engage in combat. This isn't a contest, it's all about testing your combat capabilities. Mineta. Are you serious? Izuku. Very much. I'll be observing you guys from afar, so give it your best shot. And your 4-minute start. Izuku's eye would widen and glow red, causing him to get serious. The ground would then seemingly strike Izuku like a pillar and sends him flying up into the air. Kirishima. Midoriya. Itsuka. What was woe? The ground would suddenly warp beneath the group's feet and send them all falling into a large sinkhole. Once they hit the bottom, the ground would then suddenly and quickly rise back up, launching the students in different direction all across the island. At the same time, Izuku would regain control back in the air. He breaks his momentum with skywalk and descends upon the ground. Izuku. Damn it, I lost Yamajiri when I got sent flying and it looks like the others got separated. The earth changed beneath our feet. Is this Avalo Pizarro's doing? Given how we're in a stone city I suppose it could also be. The large white pillar would shoot out from the middle of the city, catching Izuku's attention. Izuku would focus and watch as the white pillar would spread into thin strands of string that would implant themselves at the outer edges of the island. Izuku. Oh great, I was right. The students, disoriented as they may be, get up after their surprise flight and would look up to watch as the cage formed above their head. At the epicenter of the cage, a rather familiar figure can be seen sitting on top of a tower. Doflamingo. Heh, now, let the culling game begin. Chapter 29. Mineta. Ow, my head. What happened? I got flung through the air and then. Mineta would look up in shock upon seeing the birdcage. Around the same time, the other students scattered around the area would look up and have the same reaction. Izuku would hover above the city with skywalk to get a good overview of their situation. Izuku. Okay, everyone's voices are still sounding strong so they should be okay, but they're also scattered all over the place. There's also other presences in the city that I can sense. I can't see Yamajiri anywhere, did it get sent flying somewhere else too? Izuku's danger sense gets triggered, prompting him to activate future sight. He narrows his eye and coats his leg and neck in haki. Izuku. Renkyaku. Black wave. Izuku swings his right leg and fires a large air slash that stretches across the area. A small prick would be felt on Izuku's neck as his haki blocks a small thread from piercing him. Izuku's air slash would proceed to cut through several other threads that were falling above the others. Kirishima. That haki. Itsuka. It's Midoriya. Izuku. That was close, I'd better keep my eyes open. Not bad, boy. Izuku is caught off guard by a voice coming from above him. He quickly looks up to see Doflamingo hovering up in the air. Izuku. Doflamingo no, you're a string clone. Doflamingo. Heh, quite the perceptive one. Izuku. What do you want with us? Doflamingo. It's simple really. If you don't want any of you here to get sliced apart then you'll bring me Law's head and the op no me. Izuku. And just what makes you think I'll go along with such a ridiculous request? Doflamingo. Oh, you're welcome to refuse. But I wonder if that's the best decision for your friends down there. The birdcage will start closing and they have nowhere to run but towards me. I doubt they'll make it though. After all, there's some people down there with a real grudge against Straw Hat and his crew who wouldn't pass up an opportunity to get back at him. The next time you see them, they might be in pieces. String Doflamingo would get cut off by his body getting cut in half by a black snow blade formed by Izuku. Izuku would watch angrily as the string clone's body would fall apart. He hears a rumbling sound and notices the birdcage starting to move. Izuku clenches his fist and looks towards the center of the birdcage. He takes a deep breath before turning to face the others. Izuku. Everyone. Izuku yells out loud enough to echo throughout the whole island. Izuku. This isn't a training trip anymore, we've been ambushed by serious pirates looking to take our lives. That birdcage above us is closing in and going to cut through us. If we don't do anything, I'm going to fight Doflamingo to try and take down the birdcage. I know it's dangerous, and I know it might be scary, but I need you guys to survive for as long as you can. If you can't win, then it's okay to run. Yamajiri is somewhere in the city, find it and use it to call for help. Don't try to do anything too reckless. You need to remember, all our lives rest on each other's shoulders. Mineta. Seriously? Ioka. Ugh, you've gotta be kidding me. Itsuka. Survive for as long as you can, he says. Kinda been the plan from the start. Bajiro. This situation sounds pretty bad. Toru. So we just need to find the sword, right? Easy enough. Hiroshima. Running won't fly by me, these guys came here looking for a fight, so they're gonna get one. Tetsutetsu. Bring it on, doesn't matter how many of them there are, I'll melt straight through 'em. Pony. This is kinda exciting. Ryuko. It might be best to group up with someone to fight together. Manga. I knew I should have slept in today. Izuku lands back on the ground and starts to run towards the middle of the city. Izuku. If I stick to the ground, I might be able to bait Pika into coming after me. Taking him out myself will make it a lot easier for the others. Be strong, guys, I'll end this as fast as I can. Itsuka. Itsuka would slowly make her way through the city while carefully scanning her surroundings. Itsuka looks up at the moving cage above her and lets out a sigh. Itsuka. What a day to get caught up in some weird trap. Anyways, Midoriya's got a real loose grip to lose our only way back home. My observation hockey's nowhere near good enough to sense something like a sword. Can you even sense a plain old sword with hockey? Itsuka would come to a stop as she senses a presence behind a broken wall with her observation hockey. She coats and enlarges her right fist while slowly sneaking up on her target. She turns the corner and finds a creature best described as looking like something Pablo Picasso drew in his later years. Itsuka. Ah. Itsuka, wait, calm down. Itsuka. Huh. What are you and how do you know my name? Ryuko. It's me, Ryuko. Itsuka. What? Ryuko. What happened to you? Ryuko. I was ambushed by an enemy and transformed into this by their power. Itsuka. Ambushed. Well, are you okay? Ryuko. I might not look it, but I'm fine. In any case, we need to get out of here before. Aha, I found you. The sound of a plane's propeller fills the area, causing Itsuka to confusedly look up into the air. There she sees an old lady on top of a rather large man who somehow is flying. Itsuka. I'm guessing that's what turned you into this. Ryuko. Indeed. Oh, there's a new little tramp too. Itsuka. What's with this old crone? Who are you calling a crown jewel of the sea, you little brat? Itsuka. That is not at all what I called you. Nah, Jola. We ought to hurry to make the young master happy, Dasein. Yola. Quiet buffalo, you can't rush hard. Itsuka. So these guys are the serious pirates Midoriya warned us about. They don't seem so tough. Ryuko. It is not them that we should worry ourselves about, it is their artillery. Itsuka. What? Just then a large explosion would blow up a nearby building. Stepping out from the smoking wreckage of the building comes Gladius. Gladius. What? We're hunting down 2 little girls. I was hoping we'd be going after those shark-toothed bastards. Itsuka. Artillery, huh? I get it now. This the same guy whose ass Kirishima and Tetsutetsu beat, right? His face looks like a crushed Oreo. Guess this might be trouble for us. Gladius. For a little girl, you sure do talk big. Gladius's helmet would explode, launching fragments in all directions. Itsuka would enlarge and hackify her hands to block the fragments from hitting her and Ryuko. Gladius. I'll blast you to pieces and move on to your stone-brained pals. Itsuka. TCH, that stung. Ryuko, you think you can fight? Ryuko. Not well with my body like this. Itsuka. I figured, which is why we ought to plan out our next moves carefully. Yola. You're open. Yola exclaims as she hurls a pinkish-green cloud at Itsuka. Ryuko. Itsuka, dodge it, now. Itsuka quickly grabs Ryuko and jumps out of the way of the cloud. The cloud hits a chunk of rubble and transforms it into a strangely shaped statue of vibrant colors. Itsuka. So that's how her power works. Gladius. Punk Bala. Gladius fires a barrage of explosive bullets aimed at the duo. Itsuka dodges the bullets and proceeds to start running. Yola. They're escaping after them. Buffalo. Okay. Gladius. You're not getting away. Itsuka. Crap, I can't take these guys down on my own. And I can't fight while protecting you. We gotta figure out some way to change you back to normal. What do we know about devil fruits? Ryuko. Some powers will deactivate if the user is knocked unconscious. Itsuka. Okay, that's cool, but it ties back down to my earlier problem. Ryuko. With powers that affect other individuals, it might be possible to wash them off with seawater. Itsuka. Well, we're blocked off from the ocean by those strings, so that's not an option. Ugh, come on, there's gotta be something else. Think. Ryuko. Maybe something from training can help. Itsuka. Training. 3 weeks ago. It's early spring on Riskana. Izuku, Ejiro and Itsuka can be seen sparring on the snow-spotted grass. The martial arts duo would rush Izuku and try their best to land a blow on him. Making full use of his observation haki, Izuku dodges the barrage of punches, kicks and tail swings. Itsuka coats her fist in haki and enlarges it to try and hit Izuku. Izuku coats his right arm in haki and Ryuo and proceeds to deflect Itsuka's fist without making contact. Noticing the small opening, Ejiro goes low to try and land a sweep at the legs. Izuku would however vanish before Ejiro can land the blow before suddenly reappearing next to him with his right palm raised up slightly. Izuku thrusts his palm downwards and slams Ejiro onto his back. Izuku. Alright, I think that's enough. Ejiro. Ow, I wish you said that a bit earlier. Itsuka. Hot damn, you really read us like a book back there. Izuku. Well, there wasn't really much reading to do, you guys were pretty sloppy after all. Itsuka. You know you could beat around the bush just a bit. Izuku. If you guys want to be stronger, then you can't just take half-assed criticism. Ejiro. I suppose you're right. Izuku. Kendo-san, you're trying to force your way through with sheer power. It's sluggish and predictable, and if you find your attack deflected or dodged, you'll be wide open. Itsuka. Ugh. Izuku. Ejiro-kun, it's good to see that you're capable of noticing and exploiting gaps in your opponent's concentration, but you need to consider how your opponent will react. You should also consider the possibility that your opponent purposefully left themselves open. Ejiro. Yeah. Itsuka. We really were screwing around, huh? Izuku. Hang on, I'm not saying your current way of doing this is completely wrong. Oh, and huh? Izuku. You two might not have noticed, but I can tell you've both got an affinity for haki. Kendo-san, you might be a bit lacking when it comes to observation haki, but your armament haki is incredibly potent. You have the potential to unlock the advanced forms far faster than even me. Itsuka. Really? Izuku. Yeah. And Ejiro-kun, your incredible observational skills aren't a coincidence. It's your subtle use of observation haki that allows you to trace even the most minuscule movements of your opponent. What's even more remarkable is that you can do so in the midst of a heated battle. Imagine how impressive your skill could be if you maintained a level head. Ejiro. Is that so? Izuka. Of course it is. Listen guys, I know supernatural powers ruled supreme back in our world, but here it's haki that stands on top. Haki is a manifestation of our willpower, and strong enough haki is capable of surpassing everything. There's nothing in this world you can't overcome with haki. Back to the present. Ryuko. Itsuka, on your left. Itsuka. Huh? Itsuka quickly gets snapped out of her thoughts and narrowly dodges a small bomb pellet fired at her. Itsuka. Damn it Midoriya, I don't have time to figure out what your advice is supposed to mean, why couldn't you be more direct? Meanwhile. Ejiro can be seen running through the ruined city while carrying Pony on his back. Pony's left leg seems to be bleeding, and 2 pairs of her horns can be seen orbiting around the duo. Ejiro. Tsunatori-san, are you still okay? Pony. Yeah, I'm alright. And I think we managed to lose him. Ejiro. That's good news. We were lucky enough that we got flung close to each other, but to immediately encounter an enemy must mean we're equally as unlucky. Pony. What should we do? We can't escape with that cage around, should we look for the others? Ejiro. That sounds like a good idea, safety in numbers is a good thing after all. But I think our main priority right now should be finding Midoriya's sword and calling in stronger reinforcements. Tsunatori-san, I'll focus on moving so I'll need you to keep a lookout for the weapon and enemies. Pony. Got it, leave it to me. Ejiro. Oh crap, it looks like we're reaching the edge of the cage. I'd better turn. Ejiro comes to a halt as his observation haki gets triggered. He scans the area with his eyes trying to find the source of the aura. The ground in front of him begins to ripple like water, making him focus on the spot. Rising up from the almost water-like ground comes an adult man wearing sunglasses and dressed like a baby. Ejiro. An enemy. Ejiro exclaims as he immediately spins and slams his hakified tail into the man's face, who much to his surprise, doesn't even try to dodge. The man goes flying and crashes through the wall of a nearby building. Pony. You got him. Ejiro. Yeah, but that felt too easy though. He has a power that let him sneak up on me, so why didn't he use it to dodge? Dodge? Hey, don't get the wrong idea, kiddos. The man gets up and walks out of the rubble while washing his wounds with a baby bottle filled with brandy. The power of my sui sui no mi lets me swim through the ground and walls. But I'll only swim when I feel like it, not when an enemy comes my way like a fleeing coward. Ajiro. What's up with this guy? Pony. That's kinda cool. Ajiro. Don't tell me you're into this sort of thing. Ajiro's observation haki senses a fast approaching presence from behind. Ajiro. Look out. Ajiro quickly spins around and tosses Pony to the side. Ajiro would then get stabbed by the horns of a figure headbutting him in the stomach. Pony. Ajiro-kun. Found you, haha. Ajiro drops to his knees while clutching at the holes in his chest. He looks up to see a fairly skinny blonde boy wearing high heels and a cap. Thanks, senor. You took that blow so he wouldn't have enough time to focus on dodging my attack, right? Senor. Did I do that now, Dellinger? Well, who can say? Ajiro. Damn it, this situation keeps getting worse and worse. Meanwhile. Ioka. Here comes another one. Ioka would exclaim as she and Manga would ride on a large block that tread slip while Toru accelerated them using the boots of her raid suit. Manga. To the left. Toru. Got it. Toru steers the block to the left to avoid a giant stone spike trying to slam down on them from above. Ioka. From underground, left, right, left, left. Toru. Oh come on. Toru quickly maneuvers the block to avoid the stone spike rising out from the ground. Toru. For God's sake, why did we have to end up on the chopping block of the guy who can control the whole city? Ioka. It's because you laughed at his damn voice. Toru. Don't shift all the blame on me, you laughed too. Manga. Boulder. Toru and Kyoka stop arguing and notice the giant boulder coming right at them from the front. Ioka. Oh give me a break. Ioka plugs her earphone jacks into the amps on her wrists and sends them towards the boulder. Ioka. Heartbeat distortion. She sends a shockwave through the boulder that shatters it into pieces. Ioka. How the hell are we meant to fight like this? Back to Itsuka. Itsuka. Pant crap, my legs are killing me. Are they still chasing after us? Ryuko. I only see the art person and the flying one. I think the bomb man couldn't keep up and got left behind. Itsuka. Well that's one problem off our backs for now, but those two are still flying after us like flies. Viola. I heard that, who are you calling a heavenly beauty? Itsuka. Shut the hell up. Ryuko. We're coming up on a hill. Itsuka. Huh. Oh, of all the. Itsuka begins running up the hill with great difficulty due to her exhaustion. Itsuka. God pant this is hell. Ryuko. Something's wrong. Itsuka. Huh. The hell you mean something's wrong? Ryuko. They've stopped moving. They're just hovering in place now. Itsuka. Itsuka comes to a stop and looks back. She sees Buffalo and Jola hovering in place with grins on their faces. Itsuka. You're right, they did stop. Why? Gladius. Punk rock. Itsuka. Gladius. Festa. The hill the two of them are on would suddenly rupture and send the duo hurling up into the air. Itsuka. Damn it, it was a trap. Viola. No escaping now. Viola exclaims as she throws an art cloud at Itsuka. Itsuka. Shit. Unable to dodge mid-air, Itsuka gets hit dead on. The cloud fades to reveal Itsuka's body seemingly made up of dots with her hands replaced by roses. Itsuka. My hands, what am I supposed to do with these? Itsuka and Ryuko lands on the ground and lie there for a moment wincing in pain. Itsuka. Crap, now we really can't fight. Ryuko. So, just keep running then. Itsuka. Yep. Buffalo. Oh no you don't. Buffalo's upper torso would spin rapidly like a propeller. He uses this momentum to hurl an object at Itsuka at high velocity. Itsuka would end up getting pierced in the back by a dagger and fall to the ground. Itsuka. Shit. Ryuko. Itsuka. Gladius. HMPH, you're nothing more than a sitting duck now that you can't move. You've wasted enough of my time already, punk balla. Gladius takes aim at Itsuka and fires a round of explosive bullets at her. Itsuka raises her head just in time to see the oncoming bullets a few inches away from her. Right before they make contact, Itsuka gets pushed out of the way by Ryuko. Before Itsuka can even react, the bullets explode and engulf Ryuko. Itsuka. Ryuko. The smoke clears to reveal Ryuko laying on the ground covered in burns with her eyes widened out. Viola. Haha, we got one. Gladius. TCH, she got in the way of my shot. Itsuka would frantically crawl her way over to Ryuko and scoop her up in her arms while tears streamed down her face. Itsuka. Ryuko, stay with me, wake up please, wake up. Itsuka would yell while shaking Ryuko's body only to receive no reaction. Viola. What, she died from a single hit. She's even more fragile than she looks. The young master will be so pleased, hahaha. Itsuka's teary eyes would narrow out of anger and she'd grit her teeth. Viola's laughter would get cut off as a spark of black lightning flashed before her eyes. Viola. What was that? Itsuka. You. Itsuka manages to stand up on her tired legs as a reddish aura would envelop her body. She turns around to glare at Viola and Buffalo with her teary eyes. Itsuka. Heartless bastards. The bright flash of red light erupts from Itsuka, causing everyone to cover their eyes. Once the light fades, Itsuka can be seen back to normal and standing furiously in the same spot. Viola. She changed back. Itsuka clenches her fists and slowly starts marching towards Buffalo and Viola. Buffalo. Nah, Viola, what happened? Viola. I must have just lost my focus for a moment, is all nothing but a screw up that I can just fix. Viola exclaims loudly before throwing another art cloud at Itsuka. The cloud hits, but Itsuka just walks through it as if nothing happened. Viola. What? Viola exclaims in shock before throwing another cloud. Again, Itsuka walks through without any ill effects. Viola stares shocked for a moment before frantically throwing a barrage of clouds at Itsuka that she just walks through. Viola. Why isn't this working? Gladius. I don't know what's going on, but I'm putting a stop to it. Gladius yells as he fires at Itsuka. Itsuka quickly sends a glare in their direction before the bullet suddenly explode before reaching her. Gladius. It ruptured before making contact. Viola. Unbelievable, she's nullifying the effects of devil fruit powers on her body. Itsuka raises her right arm and enlarges her hand into a massive fist. Viola. Just how strong is her haki? Itsuka continues to tighten her fist as steam seemingly emanates off it. Her fist would begin shrinking while simultaneously begin turning a deep red. Her fist becomes blood red at its original size, while red steam continuously envelops it like a flame. She coats her fist in crimson-tinted haki, while black lightning sparks around her. Itsuka. Gaijin Karate Ogi. Viola. Buffalo, move already. Buffalo. I can't, Dasai and my propellers are stuck in place. Ryuko. The Doflamingo duo look to see Ryuko on the ground glaring at them with one eye open. Ryuko. Can at least do this much. Before they can say anything, Itsuka appears in the air in front of them with her fist cocked back. The two let out a yell as Itsuka throws. Itsuka. Enigawara Seiken. Itsuka's punch unleashes a massive shockwave of black lightning. Joel and Buffalo get knocked out on impact and sent flying. They crash through several buildings before coming to a stop. Gladius. Buffalo Joel. The dust settles to show Joel and Buffalo laying unconscious in the rubble of a destroyed building. Ryuko's body would suddenly glow before reverting back to normal. Ryuko. I'm back. Itsuka lands back on the ground and turns to face Gladius, catching his attention. She raises her red fist and taunts Gladius. Itsuka. Now, you're next, right? Ejiro. Senor. What was that loud noise? It came in the direction Gladius's group was sent to. How obnoxious, I hope they're okay. Ellinger. We can go check on them in a bit. After all, I don't think we'll need to spend much more time here. Ellinger says, referring to Ejiro, who's covered in wounds and barely standing on his feet. Ejiro. This situation couldn't be any worse. The guy with the fin is faster than I keep up with, and every time Tsunatori-san tries to help me, the one in diapers intercepts. My body won't last much longer, and if this doesn't end soon, I'll slowly bleed out from my injuries. Ellinger begins charging, causing Ejiro to focus on him. He swings his leg and tries to land a kick aimed at Ejiro's head, but luckily the tailman manages to duck under the blow. Ejiro quickly tries to retaliate with an uppercut to the jaw. Dellinger simply smirks before vanishing out of the way of the blow. Ejiro's eyes widen before Dellinger reappears next to him. Dellinger. You're so easy to read. Before Ejiro can even turn to look at Dellinger, he gets hit in the side by his high heel shoe. Ejiro coughs up a bit of blood before he's sent flying by the force of the kick. Dellinger. Pistol high heel. Ejiro would crash into a broken wall and drop to the ground. He manages to raise his head between heavy breaths to see Dellinger in front of him, with his leg reeled back and a sadistic smile on his face. Dellinger. Wait, we're not done yet. Dellinger slams his foot into Ejiro's face, kicking his head through the stone wall. Dellinger. Danto high heel. Pony. Ejiro-kun. Ejiro manages to lift his head back up, showing blood leaking from the top and dripping down his face. Ejiro. There's blood in my eyes I can't see. Ejiro gets hit with a kick to the stomach and goes through the rest of the wall. Ejiro lays there breathing heavily before letting out a wince of pain as a high heel gets stabbed into his tail. Dellinger. This is fun. Haha, haha haha. Bellinger would continue to laugh while kicking Ejiro in the stomach and stabbing him all over with his heels. Ejiro can only lay helplessly, not even having enough energy to react to when he gets hit anymore. Bellinger. Come on, let out a scream or something. After a few minutes, Bellinger would stop kicking and let out a sigh. Bellinger. I'm tired of this, it's boring. Senor. We done here? Bellinger. Yeah, we can go now. Oh wait, there's one more right here. Bellinger says as he turns to look at Pony, making her flinch. Ejiro's body would tense up upon hearing this, and he'd quickly force himself up. Ejiro. Wait. Ejiro yells, making Senor Pink and Bellinger turn their attention back on him. Ejiro. What are you thinking trying to go after someone who can't even stand? You haven't even finished me off. Bellinger. Ha, where's the fun in kicking someone who won't even react to death? Just lie back down and die on your own. Ejiro pants heavily and manages to form a bloody grin. Ejiro. I get it now, you're just a coward. Bellinger. Ejiro. You're afraid that if I manage to land a hit on you, you'll get knocked out in a single blow. It's because you're weak. Bellinger. Oh, I'm not gonna let that slide. Bellinger says as he takes off his cap and tosses it aside. Senor. Oi, Bellinger. Bellinger. Stay out of this, senor. Bellinger opens his mouth wider than possible for an ordinary human. His teeth wiggle before falling out and being replaced by jagged sharp teeth. Bellinger. I'm gonna teach this punk not to look down on fighting fish genes. Senor. Do as you will then. Bellinger gives off a menacing grin and proceeds to charge at Ejiro. Ejiro. Yosh, I've gotten his attention, but I'm in a pretty bad position right now. I can't see so I can't judge the distance between us, the path he's taking or the speed at which he's moving. I'm essentially blind here. Pony. Ejiro can run. Bellinger. You wait your turn, I'll get to you soon enough. Ejiro. Tsunatori-san that's right, I can't just leave her behind to fend for herself. I need to stand and fight quickly, I'll use what I've got left at my disposal to fight. Ejiro lets out a deep breath and relaxes his body while widening his stance. Ejiro. If I'm unable to make use of my sight, then I'll use my observation haki to heighten my other senses. Keep a level head, like a still lake. Remain calm, that's when observation haki is at its peak. Bellinger charges hastily with bloodlust in his eyes. Ejiro doesn't move at all and instead focuses on his observation. Bellinger stops in front of Ejiro in order to reel his leg back for a kick. The vibrations caused from the impact of Bellinger stopping abruptly, travels through the ground and reaches Ejiro's feet. Ejiro's observation haki allows him to sense these vibrations and pinpoint Bellinger's location. Ejiro. There he is, I can see him. Using a combination of the vibrations and his observation haki to sense the Bellinger's presence, Ejiro creates a mental image of Bellinger's body in front of him that he can see. Ejiro. That stance, he's preparing to sweep my legs. I should step back to avoid and immediately counterattack is what he wants me to do. Focus, not every opening is what it seems. Every movement carries an intent. That kick, it's a feint as soon as I step back. Ejiro moves his right leg back making it appear as if he's about to back up. Bellinger's smirk widens before he quickly raises his leg and aims his heel at Ejiro's head. Before the attack can land, Ejiro ducks out of the way and moves in close. Ejiro. He'll aim for my skull. Bellinger's eyes would widen in shock as he realizes what just happened. Pony and Senor Pink would also be equally as surprised by Ejiro's evasion. Before Bellinger can even look down, he's hit hard in the stomach by Ejiro's hackified elbow. Bellinger. Huh. Ejiro pushes Bellinger off his elbow and knocks him on his back. Bellinger lays there and coughs up some blood that splatters on his shirt. Bellinger. What was that? Was it just a fluke? He couldn't dodge before. Ejiro stands back up straight and turns towards Bellinger. He gets in a stance and stands firm as if waiting for the half-fishman's next move. Bellinger grits his teeth before getting up to charge again. He lunges at Ejiro and attempts to kick him in the head. Ejiro ducks down and dodges the blow. Bellinger immediately follows by trying to chomp down on his skull, only to immediately receive a hockey-coated backhand across the face. Bellinger goes rolling across the ground but quickly recovers and starts charging again. He repeatedly tries to kick and bite at Ejiro, only for him to dodge and knock him back when he least expects it. Bellinger. What's going on here? Why can't I hit him anymore, why can he suddenly hit me? Bellinger's thoughts are cut off as he gets hit in the jaw by a split kick from Ejiro. Ejiro quickly brings his leg back down to deal a hard blow to Bellinger's shoulder. The impact makes Bellinger drop to his knees where he's swiftly knocked aside by a blow from Ejiro's tail. Bellinger goes rolling across the ground until he slowly comes to a stop. He lays there motionless for a moment before willing himself back up on his knees. He gets up on his now shaky legs before desperately running at Ejiro. Ellinger. You're nothing but a human with a tail, what makes you think you can beat me? Ellinger leaps at Ejiro with his jaw open wide. Ejiro sidesteps out of the way at the last minute and hits Dellinger with a hard hackified elbow to the middle of his back. Dellinger lets out a gasp of pain before hitting the ground. He doesn't lose consciousness though and would quickly push himself back up to his feet. He turns around with a furious yell ready to attack again, only to receive a hackified rolling kick right to his mouth from Ejiro. Dellinger's teeth shatter from the power behind Ejiro's kick. Dellinger staggers as Ejiro spins in the air one more time to build up momentum while coating his tail in haki. Ejiro lets out one final yell as he slams Dellinger's head into the ground with his tail. Dellinger's eyes wide out as one of his horns breaks off and goes flying in the air. Ejiro stands tall before his fallen foe and raises his head to the sun. Pony. So cool. Ejiro. Well then. Ejiro would turn to face Senor Pink. He takes off the top of his bloodied guy and gets into a stance. Ejiro. I don't suppose you'd be interested in a one-on-one duel. Senor. What a saucy kid. Kirishima. Kirishima. Hey, guys, anybody around here? Kirishima would call out as he wandered through the ruined city. Kirishima. Weird, I haven't run into a single soul yet. I guess it's a good thing that enemies haven't spotted me yet, but not running into any of the others makes me kinda worried. Not everyone's gonna be able to fight off invaders. Kirishima checks around a corner but finds no one in sight. Kirishima. Oh wait a minute, I have observation haki. I can just use that to look for the others. Kirishima says while activating his observation haki. Much like he expected, he senses a life force, but it's one unfamiliar to him. This unfamiliar aura is enough to put Kirishima on alert. He hardens his arms and coats them in armament haki. He slowly moves towards the unknown aura. Before he can even make it halfway, the aura would suddenly vanish into thin air. Kirishima. What the? Yatsu no Kami. Mi no Tsuker. The figure would suddenly appear in front of Kirishima and try to strike him in his eyes. Kirishima's observation haki combined with his quick reflexes lets him avoid the attack and get some distance between him and his assailant. Kirishima. That was close. Darn you, you slippery little devil. Kirishima focuses back on his assailant and gets a good look at them. He can see that they appear to be an incredibly old man wearing a blue jumpsuit. You may have escaped the grasp of Lao Ji momentarily, but I'll be sure to beat you to a pulp for the glory of the young master. Glory, there's the G. The old man exclaims while striking a bizarre pose. Kirishima. What the hell's up with this old guy? Lao Ji. Hey, new boy, get to work and quit goofing off over there goofing, there's the G. Yeah, I heard ya. The voice would come from behind Kirishima, causing his eyes to widen from surprise. He turns around and crosses his arms in front of him and ends up blocking a punch. The force of the punch sends Kirishima through several buildings. He plants his hardened feet into the ground with hardening to prevent himself from falling over. He eventually comes to a stop but can feel his arms shaking from the blow. Seriously, why did I get paired up with this old geezer of all people? Kirishima would look up to see a young man with purple hair wearing a face mask who seems to have horns poking out from underneath his hat. Lao Ji. Oh, not bad, page none. Page 1. It's page 1, what a bother. Kirishima. That punch didn't have any haki in it. Who is this monster? Tetsu. Tetsu. Is the sword under here? Tetsu would wonder as he lifted a fallen over wall of a building. Tetsu. Nope. Tetsu says as he pushes the wall aside and gets back on his way. Tetsu. Since no villains decided to show their faces, I figured I should rather spend my time looking for the sword. It's the best move to guarantee everyone's safety. But I can't find a trace of it. Man, what I wouldn't give for Shishida Chopper Sensei's sense of smell right now. Oh wait, didn't Zoro Sensei say once that swords have their own wills or something? Maybe I can try using observation haki to find it. Tetsu says as his eyes glow red. He looks around but doesn't sense anything nearby. Tetsu. Damn, nothing. That was a bust. Jutton. Tetsu's observation haki alerts him of a nearby presence. He looks up to see a large figure floating above him. Eyes. The figure suddenly begins plummeting down at incredible speeds. Tetsu quickly runs out of the way just in time as the figure crashes into the ground. The shockwave caused from the impact would knock Tetsu off his feet and land on his back. Tetsu. Ugh, the hell was that? Did someone drop a bomb? Ow, that one really hurt my stomach, might leave some bruising. Tetsu scrambles to get back up on his feet and activates his quirk. He can see that the one who tried to assault him is a rather rotund man in a red singlet that has swirls printed on it. You managed to dodge, not bad, squirt. Tetsu. It's some burly old dude. Hey, Match Vise, what do you think you're doing? Noise coming from what sounds like a propeller would fill the area. Tetsu looks up to see a fast approaching object coming at him. He sees a quick glimmer coming from the object. Tetsu. An enemy? Is that a sword? Tetsu coats his arms in haki and raises them above his head to defend. The object reaches him and brings down a weapon that clashes against Tetsu's skin. Sparks fly as Tetsu feels something grinding against his arms like a rotating saw. Tetsu lets out a scream as the sparks get replaced by blood spraying. Tetsu. Overheat. Tetsu's body ignites and becomes engulfed in flames. Whoa, fire. The large figure pulls back their weapon and backs away from Tetsu. Tetsu unignites his body and starts panting heavily. He lowers his arms and looks down at them to see a rather large cut on his right one. Tetsu. They cut through my steel and my haki. You trying to melt my sword or something? Tetsu looks up to see what can only be described as a half-human half-triceratops creature wielding a strange sword. Match Vise. What's wrong, Sasaki? You scared of a little Berninian? Sasaki. Shut up, why don't you pull your own weight in this merger already? Tetsu. I don't know what the hell their deal is, but I can tell these guys mean trouble. Izuku. The young greenet can be seen hopping from broken rooftop to broken rooftop on his way to the center of the birdcage. Izuku. Alright, I'm making steady progress. I'm starting to sense Doflamingo's haki, so I should be able to track him down if he tries to move around. As Izuku lands on another building, he hears a strange sound that causes him to stop once he lands and listen carefully. Izuku. Is that crying? Izuku jumps down from the building and starts walking through the city streets. After walking a bit he can see the person that seems to be the source of the crying. Izuku. A child. Heading closer he can see that the person looks to be a small crying girl walking through the city. Crying Ni-san, mama, where are you? Izuku. It is a child. Ah, are you okay? Izuku would yell out as he runs up to the girl. Crying, I can't find my Ni-chan or mama, sniffle, our house is broken too, I'm scared. Izuku. Your house, I didn't realize people were still inhabiting this island. In any case it's dangerous to be alone, there's scary pirates running around. You can come with me if you want, I'm strong so you'll be safe. Izuku says as he gets down on one knee and extends his right hand to the girl. The girl reaches out to touch it, letting out a small smirk that goes unnoticed by Izuku. Just before her hands can touch his, Izuku's hand and arm would crumble apart into snow. The girl's eyes would seemingly widen in shock before two black whips burst out from the ground and grab her wrists and wrap around her hands to cover them completely. Izuku. I know who you are, sugar. Izuku says coldly as he stands back up straight. Izuku. Unfortunately for you, Usopp-san is rather enthusiastic to share his exploits to the crew, so I know all about you and your powers. Izuku says while reforming his arm. Izuku. You probably would have had more luck with your trick if you'd have used it on one of the others. Most of them usually fall asleep halfway through Usopp-san's stories. Sugar would lower her head and tighten her fists within the black whips as her body starts to tremble. Sugar. Give it back. Izuku. Sugar would raise her head and glare at Izuku with angry tear-filled eyes. Izuku would get caught off guard by her unexpected appearance. Sugar. Give me back my sister's fruit. Izuku would be left speechless for a brief moment from Sugar's sudden outburst. Izuku. Your sister's. The realization hits as Izuku's eye moves to his right arm. Sugar. It's you bastards' fault that she died, I won't let you people use her fruit. Sugar yells out furiously while Izuku just stares stunned in silence. He tries to say something, but stops himself and thinks a bit more on what he wants. He gets down to eye level with Sugar and lets out a deep breath. Izuku. I am sorry for the loss of your sister, but I cannot relinquish your fruit. It has become a part of me and I can't just give it up. I do hope you'll forgive me for what I'm about to do while you're this emotional. Izuku snaps his fingers and causes snow to start accumulate in the area. A large shadow would loom over Izuku and Sugar. Sugar would slowly turn around and see a face that causes her heart to sink. Sugar. Jaya. Sugar would scream her lungs out from sheer terror. She screams hard enough that she loses consciousness and falls over. Izuku sighs and stands back up. He turns around and begins to walk away. Sugar. I won't let you people use her fruit. Izuku stops in place as he thinks back to Sugar's words. He looks over his shoulder at the little girl on the ground. Luffy. But I don't want to let just anyone get their hands on Ace's ability. Izuku walks back to Sugar and coats his right arm in haki. He places his hand on the ground and starts building up black snow. He sculpts the snow into a sculpture of Monet looking down with a smile. Izuku places Sugar underneath the statue and gives small smile before going back on his way. Chapter 30. Izuku leaps from broken rooftop to broken rooftop on his way to the middle of the city. While in the air, his stomach starts to grumble, making his expression turn sour a bit. Izuku. Ugh, I knew I shouldn't have skipped breakfast. Izuku lands on the ground and reaches into his bag. Izuku. I should still have some rations from the other day's training. Izuku would pull out a small bento box with a note taped onto it. He sits down and takes a look at the note. We noticed you didn't have breakfast today, so we put together something to keep you energized. Good luck on today's training, Izuku Deku Ichakotsu. Izuku. I've got such thoughtful roommates. Izuku screams out mentally with tears streaming down his face. Izuku. The birdcage doesn't seem to be moving all that fast, so I guess a quick stop for lunch should be alright. Izuku says as he opens up the box and pulls out some chopsticks. He picks up a piece of fried pork and brings it to his mouth. He's about to eat it, but his danger sense activates. He quickly stuffs it into his mouth and hackifies his right arm. Izuku raises his coated arm and blocks a large slash coming at him from the right. Izuku. I'm trying to eat here. Buzz off. Izuku puts some power in his arm and disperses the slash into thin air. Whoa, you deflected it barehanded. Izuku looks in the direction the slash came from to see a lankly and rather flamboyantly dressed man. That's impressive, but it's nowhere near enough to beat the genius matador, Diamante-sama. Izuku. Diamante, huh? I was hoping to take care of Pika, but this guy's also trouble. Izuku would stand back up while picking up another piece of pork. Izuku. Still, did he really have to show up while I was trying to catch a snack? Kirishima. Page 1. Oi, what do you think you're doing? Page 1 would ask while referring to Lao Ji, whose soul appears to be leaving his body. Kirishima. Shocked he passed on naturally in the middle of a fight, just how freaking old is this guy? Page 1. Get back down already. How do you expect me to explain this situation to Kaido-sama? Lao Ji's soul would look towards page 1 before slowly descending back down to his body. Lao Ji. Huh? Kirishima. He didn't hear him, but he still came back to life. Kirishima would suddenly snap back to his senses. He'd shake his head quickly and focus on the two in front of him. Kirishima. Damn it, I gave in to the craziness for a second. I need to take this seriously. Let's see, the old guy's strong alright, but my armament hockey stacked on top of unbreakable can take his hits. The real problem is that guy with the mask. His punches are destructive, I can feel them in my bones. Even in unbreakable, I won't be able to withstand his blows for too long. Do I jump to Crimson Riot? But then I'd have to finish the fight quickly. Page 1. Let's go, old man. Lao Ji. Prepare yourself, you gravel-covered monkey gravel, there's the G. Kirishima changes to unbreakable and readies himself against the two combatants as they charge. Page 1 leaps up into the air, making Kirishima focus on him. Kirishima jumps back as page 1 punches the ground and creates a crater. Lao Ji then closes in and lands a few jabs aimed at Kirishima's shoulders. Kirishima manages to withstand the blows and pushes Lao Ji away. Page 1 would then appear behind Kirishima with his hand clutching his head. Kirishima instinctively coats his head in hockey before it gets slammed into the ground. Kirishima tries to hit page 1 with his legs, but that's easily dodged by page 1 jumping out of the way. Kirishima pulls his head out of the ground and looks up to see Lao Ji looking down at him. The old man would speedily don a pair of glasses before kicking Kirishima aside. Kirishima rolls on the ground but quickly recovers and gets back on his feet. Lao Ji closes in and tries to jab Kirishima's eyes. Kirishima manages to block the jab with his hackified and hardened left hand and immediately senses oncoming danger from his right. Kirishima pushes Lao Ji's hand away and leans back to avoid a punch from page 1. While he's leaning, Kirishima clenches and cocks back his right fist while coating it in hockey. Kirishima. Black Gauntlet. Kirishima lands a hard punch to page 1's face and sends him flying straight into Lao Ji. The two hit the ground only to immediately get back up and break apart. Kirishima tries keeping an eye on both as they circle around him on opposite sides. Kirishima. Damn it, the damage I'm doing right now isn't enough either. Do I need to break out Crimson Riot just to land a decent hit too? Page 1 and Lao Ji both charge into Kirishima. Kirishima ducks to avoid a kick to the head from page 1. He blocks a low sweep from Lao Ji with his hardened leg and throws back a hard punch to the gut. Lao Ji falls back while page 1 cocks back his fist. Page 1 lands a hard punch to the back of Kirishima's head and knocks him down to the ground. Blood splurts out between Kirishima's gritted teeth as he raises his head. Page 1 raises an eyebrow just before he gets swept off his feet by Kirishima swinging his arm. Kirishima tries to follow up with a punch, but he gets knocked away by Lao Ji before he can throw it. Kirishima rolls across the ground but comes to a stop as he's kicked in the gut by page 1. The kick lifts him up the ground where Page 1 is able to follow up and hit him in the face with a hard punch. Page 1. Not yet. Page 1 grabs the back of Kirishima's head and proceeds to slam his face in the ground once again. Blood starts leaking from the top of Kirishima's head and makes his normally spiked up hair fall down. Page 1 lifts Kirishima back up by his skull and holds him in front of him. He punches Kirishima hard enough in the ribs to make a loud crack and knocks him away. Kirishima would roll over and get on his knees. He coughs up a bit of blood while raising his head to look at Page 1. Kirishima. I guess I don't have a choice now. Kirishima stands up, making Page 1 let out a sigh. Kirishima cocks back his fist as Page 1 charges at him. Page 1 winds up his fist causing Kirishima to lock in. Kirishima. Now. Page 1 throws a punch and hits Kirishima in the face. He's surprised as Kirishima remains standing without even flinching. Kirishima. Crimson Riot. Page 1 gets a good look at Kirishima and notices his bulked up body now covered in jagged and serrated edges. Kirishima glares at Page 1 with his crimson eyes that now have pitch black sclera and cocks back his right fist that's coated in a crimson red tinted hockey. Kirishima hits Page 1 with a hard blow to the gut that knocks the wind out of him. Page 1. What? Laoji. Wage gun. Laoji runs in and tries to knock Kirishima down with a punch, but the red-haired teen stands his ground. Before Laoji can do anything else, Kirishima swings his arm and knocks him away. Page 1 looks up and gets hit in the face by Kirishima's fist. Kirishima. Crimson Gauntlet. Page 1's eyes widen before he's sent flying. He hits the ground but doesn't stop. He keeps going until he crashes through an old building and breaks through the wall of the one behind it. Kirishima stands there panting as sweat drips off his forehead. He tightens his fist and begins running after Page 1. Kirishima. One good hit definitely wasn't enough. I need to keep hammering him down until he can't. Jino Kakuin. Kirishima looks to his left but is only to catch sight of a blue blur before he's hit hard in the stomach. Kirishima's eyes wide out and blood can be seen coming from the cracks in his skin. Kirishima. Huh. Kirishima goes flying and crashes through the town's various buildings. Eventually he comes to a stop as he hits a clock tower. All the holes in the buildings Kirishima crashed through, as well as the crater in the clock tower, are shaped like GS. Kirishima lays there motionless before he gags and coughs up some blood. Kirishima. What the hell was that? It was too fast to keep up with. It actually hurt me through Crimson Riot. Now you've gone and done it. The large figure lands in front of Kirishima causing him to focus. The figure seems to be Laoji, except with a far larger and more bulky body than before. Laoji. Now that I've drawn on the power of my youth with Sento Hoken, your measly defenses will break apart like grains of sand in the wind. Grains, there's the G. Kirishima. Are you serious? Page 1. That hurt, you know. Page 1 would appear next to Laoji while adjusting his bloody mask. Laoji. Rage Slum, you're okay. Page 1. Of course I'm okay, you senile geezer. I'd never hear the end of it from Ni-chan if I got taken out in one hit. Still, I wasn't expecting him to actually tank that blow. Page 1 tightens his fists as his body begins to alter. Kirishima's eyes widen in shock as Page 1's body increases in size to the point where he's even larger than Laoji. His body becomes bulkier and gets covered in scales. He grows a thick tail, sharp claws and an orange spine on his back. Kirishima would simply stare stunned at the giant humanoid reptile before him. Page 1. I'll get serious then. Kirishima. Are you kidding me? Tetsutetsu. Matchvise. Juttenvise. Tetsutetsu would quickly run out of the way as Matchvise comes crashing down to try and hit him. He looks back for a brief moment before looking forwards to see Sasaki flying straight at him. Tetsutetsu. Oh shit. Tetsutetsu ignites into overheat and crosses his arms. Seeing Tetsutetsu's flames, Sasaki would withhold his blade and instead ram headfirst into Tetsutetsu. Sasaki. Your little fire won't do much against the tough scales of a triceratops. Sasaki and Tetsutetsu crash through a building and break apart. Tetsutetsu lands on his back, panting heavily with a bit of blood dripping down his arms. Tetsutetsu. Crap, this is insane. The moment my attention focuses on one, the other tries to take me down. An ultra-tough dinosaur with a chainsaw blade or an ultra-heavy nuke of an old guy, what's with this combo? Tetsutetsu would yell before his observation hockey gets triggered. He looks up to see Matchvise floating above him. Matchvise. Juttenvise. Tetsutetsu quickly rolls out of the way for Matchvise to crash next to him. The impact of the crash launches Tetsutetsu up into the air. Before he can comprehend what's going on, Tetsutetsu gets rammed into the ground by Sasaki. Sasaki's eyes widen in shock as Tetsutetsu hangs onto his horn instead of letting go. Sasaki transforms into his full zone form and starts charging. He runs through several buildings in an attempt to knock Tetsutetsu off, but the steel boy holds on tight. Tetsu would reach out and grab one of Sasaki's top horns, making the dinosaur raise an eyebrow in confusion. Tetsu reaches for the other one and pulls himself up. He places his feet on Sasaki's middle horn and gives off a small smirk. Tetsu. What was that about my fire not doing much? Tetsu's fiery body begins glowing brighter, blinding Sasaki's eyes. His steel hair starts floating upwards, and his body turns white hot from flames, while his arms and legs become coated in a silver-blue tinted hockey. Sasaki winces a bit from the heat of Tetsu's flames. Tetsu cocks back his right fist while intensifying the flames. Tetsu. Molten steel. White. Tetsu punches Sasaki right between his eyes and unleashes a burst of flames. Tetsu. Ballista. Sasaki grits his teeth as he tries to endure the constant stream of white-hot flames. The task proves too much for him to handle as he comes to a quick halt and launches Tetsu off. Tetsu hits the ground but rolls and quickly gets back on his feet. Tetsu. I've only got 10 minutes in this form, so I'm sure as hell gonna make sure they count. Match Vise. Jut and Vise. Sensing Match Vise above him, Tetsu begins running away to avoid getting hit. Once Match Vise hits the ground, Tetsu starts running back. Tetsu. White. Tetsu's entire body becomes engulfed in white flames as he charges. Match Vise looks up to see the living fireball running at him and raises his metal shield to defend himself. Tetsu cocks back his right fist and concentrates all the flames surrounding his body into a large white ball of fire on his right hand. Tetsu. Meteor. Tetsu clashes against Match Vise's shield and creates a massive explosion. The explosion launches Match Vise through the city like a cannonball until Tetsu's unable to even see him. Tetsu stands there out of breath but with a smile on his face. Tetsu. Heh, that's one down. Now I just need two. Sasaki. Tamaceratops. Tetsu quickly turns around and his eyes widen as a sharp pain pierces his abdomen. Sasaki grits his teeth before he sends Tetsu flying. Tetsu gets dragged through the ground, tearing up the stone of the old city. It takes a while for the momentum to die down and bring him to a stop. Tetsu would lay in shock before reaching to his side. With his fingers, he can feel a chunk of his left side is missing. Sasaki. I'm not familiar with your powers, but no matter how hot you get, steel is still steel, I can tear through it easily. Tetsu. Shit, I let my guard down. I shouldn't bleed out thanks to my heat cauterizing my wounds, but this is still really bad. Match Vise. Hakai no Senten Vise. Tetsu looks up to see Match Vise already hurling down at him. Tetsu. Oh buck. Tetsu rolls over and tries to get away, but he's not able to move far enough in time before Match Vise crashes. Tetsu's eyes widen out in pain as Match Vise gets up with a smirk to admire his work. Match Vise. Nehehehe, you were too slow this time. Match Vise says referring to Tetsu's leg that's been crushed under his weight. Tetsu. Aiya. Tetsu would scream out while Match Vise and Sasaki just watched on condescendingly. Back to Izuku. Diamante. Hangetsu Glaive. Diamante launches a massive projectile slash that stretches across the city. Izuku's danger sense gets triggered, making him turn to the direction the attack is coming from. Izuku picks up a pork cutlet and puts it in his mouth before dodging the attack with Kamisori. Izuku. Geez, you'd think he'd get tired of this after a while. Izuku says before dodging another slash. He looks down into his bento box and sees that there's only one pork cutlet left. Izuku. Oh, last bite. Izuku says as he uses Black Whip on his tongue to pull the cutlet into his mouth like a frog. Izuku. Now then. Izuku stuffs the bento box into his bag while holding out his right hand. Purple mist emits from Izuku's arm and gathers in his palm. The mist takes shape and solidifies into a purple katana. Izuku takes the katana and uses it to fire off a large projectile slash. This slash cuts through an oncoming slash of Diamantes and keeps going. Diamante. What the? Diamante quickly turns into a flag and narrowly avoids Izuku's slash. Izuku lets go of the katana and it dissipates into thin air. Izuku. Come to think of it, there's a move I've been meaning to try out. Izuku holds out his right palm with his fingers pointed upwards. Black Whip strands emit from his fingertips and would connect together above his palm. The strands disconnect from Izuku's fingers and form a black ball floating in place. Izuku. Let's see here. Using his observation hockey, Iz would get a lock on Diamante's position. Izuku. There we go. Izuku charges up to 80% of one for all and cocks back his right fist. Izuku. Gear second. Izuku's arm bulks up even further and his hockey gains a green tinge. Izuku. Crash. Izuku would punch the black ball with all the power in his arm. The ball would become coated in armament haki as well as a layer of Ryo. Izuku. Cannonball. The power of Izuku's explosive punch launches the ball like a cannon. Diamante would hear the sound of the projectile approaching. At the exact moment he turns to look at the source, the black ball would crash through the building next to him and clash against the bird cage. The ball would split into two and proceed to create two massive explosions. Diamante would simply stare, speechless at what he just saw. Izuku. Man, I need to work on my accuracy with one eye. Diamante would look to his left to see Izuku standing on some rubble, pressing his right fist up against his side. Diamante. When did you? Izuku. Sai Shorin. Rakugan. Izuku fires a shockwave that passes through Diamante. The long swordsman's eyes wide out and he coughs up some blood. After a moment of silence, Diamante falls over unconscious. Izuku pulls his hand back and looks down at his fist. Izuku. A lot stronger than I expected for just one fist. Guess all that training's paying off already. Anyways, that's one nuisance taken care of. I hope everyone else is doing alright. Izuku says as he gets back on track to the middle of the birdcage. Hiroshima. In one part of the old city, the ground would constantly be shaking. These tremors would in fact be caused by impact of the flurry of powerful blows that Lao Ji is inflicting on Kirishima. Crimson Riot Kirishima with widened out eyes would simply endure every hit without being able to retaliate. Lao Ji. Ji no Kakuin. Lao Ji hits Kirishima hard and creates a G-shaped crack on his chest. Kirishima coughs up blood as his pupils would reappear. Kirishima. What happened? I think I blacked out for a bit. Kirishima would think to himself before getting punched away by Lao Ji. Page 1 in his hybrid form would appear in Kirishima's path and slam him down into the ground. Kirishima. How was my hardening always this fragile? Kirishima manages to get up while stumbling and stand in front of Page 1 with his fists raised. He tries throwing a punch, but Page 1 counters it with a haki-coated one of his own. Kirishima would pull his arm back out of pain, not caused by the impact of the punch, but rather the clashing haki. Kirishima. Was my haki always this weak? Page 1 would grab Kirishima by his arm and crush it under his grip. He'd raise the redeed up into the air before tossing him upwards. Page 1 would then assume his full zone form and open his mouth wide while raising his head to Kirishima. Kirishima. No, that's not right. Page 1 crunches down hard and catches the redeed between his teeth. Blood would spray everywhere as a loud crack could be heard. Kirishima. They're just that overwhelmingly stronger than me. Page 1 shakes his head violently before tossing Kirishima aside. Kirishima would lay motionless while his vision began to blur. Kirishima. There's just no competing with them, those monsters. Kirishima's vision would begin to darken as he feels his consciousness fading. Right before everything goes completely dark, an image of something green flashes before Kirishima's mind, causing his mind to wake up a bit. Kirishima. Wait, what am I saying? A flicker of red lightning causes Lao Ji and Page 1 to focus back on Kirishima. Small flickers of red lightning. Kirishima. These guys monsters. Kirishima asks himself as he clenches his fist and grits his teeth. Kirishima. You bastard, when did you get so soft? Kirishima punches the ground with his right fist. Despite all the cracking coming from his broken body, Kirishima would begin to push up his upper body with his fist. Kirishima. Man up, you softy, don't just call any obstacle unbeatable when you're having a little trouble. These guys are no monsters, think you know what real monsters are, don't ya? The images of Izuku, Kitsuki and Shoto would flash before his eyes. Kirishima. Those three were able to grow so ridiculously strong in such a short amount of time. They could easily beat me in this form. But even. The image of Zoro swinging Enma would flash before Kirishima's eyes. Kirishima would punch his other hand into the ground and use it to help push himself up. Kirishima. There's still people above those monsters even at my strongest. I was completely obliterated. That's how big the difference between us is, but compared to him, these two are nothing, even after everything these two threw at me. Lao Ji and Page 1 would stare slightly surprised as Kirishima gets back up on his feet. Kirishima. I can still stand. Page 1. He got back up. Lao Ji. His persistence is admirable, but I've grown tired of this. Grown, there's the G. Lao Ji would get into a stance and begin charging up his energy, surrounding himself in an aura of electricity. Lao Ji. As a sign of respect, I'll end his miserable life with the strongest technique of Sento Hoken. Page 1. Wait, something feels off about. Lao Ji. Sento Hoken. Manki Kyaku. Ignoring Page 1, Lao Ji would dash at Kirishima at full speed. Kirishima would not move a muscle as his mind was focused on his thoughts. Kirishima. In that moment I saw it. Kirishima would flash back to the time Zoro cut him down with Enma. Kirishima. Instead of his blade simply being coated in haki, it looked like he allowed his haki to flow through it. The blade felt like an extension of his arm. It was like the blade made his haki its own. That's it. Kirishima's body would become enveloped in a red flame-like aura and emit small sparks of dark red lightning. Kirishima's redder eyes surrounded by his black sclera would begin to glow brightly. Kirishima. Instead of just stacking my haki on top of my quirk, I should let it flow freely through my body and my quirk. In order for my ability to grow stronger, I need to let my quirk draw on my haki. Kirishima's haki would begin spreading from his arms and legs to his torso and eventually coat his whole body up to his neck, ending in flame-like markings that appear on the edges of his face. More cracks would form on his darkened body. A red glow can be seen emitting from the crevices created by his cracking. Kirishima's hair would spike back up and turn completely black. He tightens his fists hard enough that small spurts of blood erupt from the force. The knuckles on his hands would turn red, protrude and become seemingly more reflective by the second, resembling sharpened gemstones. His shoulder blades would protrude as well and become red and reflective, along with his lower jaw, teeth and bridge of his nose. Strange shapes would begin to form in the red aura surrounding Kirishima. Lao Ji. I see you're attempting to pull another trick, but unfortunately this is the end. Lao Ji yells as he slams his fist into Kirishima's face. The impact of the fist creates a massive shockwave that causes immense destruction in the area behind Kirishima. Kirishima's body however would not even flinch. Lao Ji would look in shock and see Kirishima's glowing blood-red eyes glaring at him. Lao Ji would stare stunned as he sees what looks like two other heads on Kirishima's shoulders and four new arms. Kirishima would grab Lao Ji's hand with one of his left hands and pushes it aside. Lao Ji could see that his fist had been sliced into by the sharp gemstones on Kirishima's face. Kirishima clenches his frontmost right fist, seemingly causing the gemstones on his knuckles at the back to extend even farther like spikes. Before Lao Ji can do anything else, Kirishima slams his fist into his gut. Lao Ji coughs up some blood before dark red lightning would erupt uncontrollably from Kirishima's fist. Page 1 would leap out of the way to avoid getting hit by a stray bolt. Lao Ji. Impossible, he was just on the verge of death. Where is all this strength coming from? I can't hold on for much longer, damn you brat, don't think I'll just let this humiliation go. I'll harbor this hatred even long after I've passed on and laid to rest in my grave. Kirishima would push harder with his fist, causing the lightning to intensify even further. Lao Ji. Grave, there's the. Kirishima narrows his glowing eyes and sends Lao Ji flying with one final push and a massive explosion of lightning. Lao Ji. Lao Ji yells out as he goes flying through the city, crashing through building after building until he eventually hits the other side of the birdcage. Page 1 would stare shocked at the destruction left behind by Lao Ji. He turns to look at Kirishima to find the red-headed boy walking towards him calmly. Page 1 steels himself before taking on his hybrid form and charging at Kirishima. He cocks his haki-coated fist back and throws a punch. Kirishima brings his three left arms together in front of him like a shield. Red crystals would cover all three arms and a hardened mass. Page 1's fist clashes against Kirishima's arms to almost zero effect. Kirishima pushes Page 1's fist away and cocks back one of his right. He leaps straight forward and lands a punch to Page 1's face. Page 1 gives his best effort to stay on his feet while withstanding the force of Kirishima's blow. A second fist would hit him in the face, causing his eyes to widen. A third would soon follow the other two, making Page 1's eyes wide out. Page 1. What the hell, is he a monster? Using up all the might he has left in his body, Kirishima punches Page 1's skull into the ground. Kirishima. Asura. Crimson Wrath. Red lightning explodes as Page 1 gets forced into the ground, creating a massive crater that swallows up several nearby buildings. Once the tremoring settles and the dust clears, Page 1 can be seen laying unconscious with his mouth agape covered in blood. Kirishima is trying to walk out of the crater with heavy breaths. As he's walking, his extra arms and heads would fade out of existence. The crystals on his body would fall off in small chunks as his haki begins to recede. His steps become wobbly and his vision starts to blur once more. Kirishima. Damn it, not yet, I need to make sure the others are safe. Kirishima mutters out before collapsing to the ground and losing consciousness. Tetsu. Sasaki. Sasaki would suddenly look in the direction Kirishima was in and narrows his eyes. Sasaki. Page 1, you lost. Match Vise. Oh, your pal got beaten. Guess you beast pirates aren't as tough as you look, nehehe. Sasaki. Your old man lost first. Match Vise. What? Lao Ji is down too. Why didn't you say anything? We gotta go help them. Sasaki. That's not a bad idea. Anyone strong enough to beat the two of them needs to be taken care of immediately. Besides, I'd say we're done here. Sasaki says, referring to Tetsu laying on the ground and barely breathing. Both his legs as well as his right arm appear to have been mangled, and there are large holes in his right shoulder and left thigh. Sasaki and Matchvise would step past Tetsutetsu and begin to walk in Kirishima's direction. Tetsutetsu would begin to weakly open his eyes and slow his breathing. Tetsutetsu. I'd recognize that burst of haki anywhere. That was you, wasn't it, Kirishima? Amazing, you got stronger just now, I can tell. On the other hand, look at me. No matter how much I change on the outside, guess I'm still just steel. If you were up against them, you could just keep getting harder and tank whatever they throw at you. I'm sorry, you're probably exhausted right now, but now these guys are on the move towards you, because I couldn't beat them, damn it, if only it were you who fought these guys, if only. The image of something blue would flash before Tetsutetsu's eyes as he comes to a realization. Tetsutetsu. What the hell am I saying? Tetsutetsu's body would flare up back into molten steel, the sound of which causes Matchvise and Sasaki to stop, turn back around and look at him. There they can see the large white ball of flames with small flickers of dark blue lightning in it. Sasaki. He ignited again. Matchvise. Think he'll burn himself to a crisp if we let him be? Tetsutetsu. If this, if that, why the hell are you making excuses? There's no point in thinking about what could have been, don't just try to avoid the reality of the situation. Of course I'll never be Kirishima, and I could never fight just like him, but… The image of Sanji smiling would flash before Tetsutetsu's eyes, causing the young to grit his teeth before forcefully rolling onto his stomach. Tetsutetsu. I am who I am. Tetsutetsu yells as he punches disfigured right arm with his intact left fist. Tetsutetsu. I had already accepted that I could never get stronger in the same way he could, so I decided that I'd get stronger in my own way. That's why I developed overheat in the first place. So what if my steel isn't as sturdy as hardening? If my body gets snapped or twisted out of place, then I'll just… Tetsutetsu punches his broken arm once more with all his might and manages to force his arm back into its original shape. Tetsutetsu. Reforge them. Sasaki. What the… Matchvise. Seriously? Tetsutetsu flips back onto his back and quickly grabs hold of his left leg. Through gritted teeth, Tetsutetsu would force his leg back to normal. He would then proceed to snap his right leg back to normal as well and force himself to stand back up. Tetsutetsu. I ain't done yet, you scumbags, come on. Sasaki. I wasn't expecting him to actually get back up. Matchvise. Yeah, it's Surprisian. Matchvise would say before floating up into the air. Matchvise. But he's on his last legs, one more hit ought to do it. Tetsutetsu. I hate to admit it, but he's right. Even if I can fix my injuries to an extent, one more hard hit could do me in. I need to end this fast. If Kirishima can keep getting stronger, then so can I. Tetsutetsu would slap his palms together and hold them in front of his face. He lets out a loud yell as his flames intensify into molten steel. Tetsutetsu. Being steel, my body naturally has a pretty good heat resistance. Molten steel is the absolute limit of the heat I can resist, that is if I just had my quirk. Armament haki can grant a defensive buff, of course, but it also provides a boosted heat resistance. I'll coat my whole torso, but focus my hardening into my limbs to boost my offensive power. Tetsutetsu's silver blue tinted haki would spread from his arms to his shoulders and end in flame-like markings. Dark blue lightning would erupt from the ball of flames. The flames would intensify and brighten, causing Sasaki to cover his eyes. Matchvise in the air would look down and struggle to focus on Tetsutetsu. Matchvise. Oh, that's really bright. But it doesn't matter. Even if I don't hit him directly, the weight in this last dive should obliterate him and everything around him. Jigoku no Manten Vise. Matchvise exclaims as he quickly comes crashing down. Upon impact with the ground, a massive tremor would be caused as the earth itself would collapse under all the weight. In the epicenter of the impact, Matchvise can be seen laying on his stomach in a bit of pain. Matchvise. Oh, that one's gonna hurt. Did I get him? I don't feel like I hit anything. Sasaki. Matchvise, behind you. Matchvise would get up and turn around. He'd immediately freeze from sheer shock as he came face to face with a massive ball of blue flames and dark lightning. Within the ball, Matchvise can barely make out the outline of a person with only bright white balls where the eyes should be. The figure inside would raise a pitch-black armament haki-coated arm and forms a fist. They cock back that fist, which causes Matchvise to raise his shield preemptively. The figure throws a punch that makes contact with Matchvise's shield, and much to Matchvise's surprise, it immediately melts through the metal shield. The punch hits Matchvise in the stomach, and his eyes would wide out from both the impact and the intense burning flames. The punch would explode into a massive burst of flames and send Matchvise flying. Sasaki would quickly jump out of the way as Matchvise would fly past him and hit the birdcage. Sasaki would watch in shock as Matchvise would fall unconscious back to the ground. Sasaki quickly turns back around and charges at the flaming figure. Sasaki. Damn you, you're that boy, aren't you? I'll put an end to all of this and skewer you Magnum Ceratops. Sasaki leaps into the air and spins his frills to dive down at high speeds at the flaming figure. He crashes into the ground, but much to his dismay he misses. Sasaki pulls his head out of the ground and looks to see the flaming figure standing there with their right arm outstretched. The figure clenches their fist and begins accumulating all the fire around their body around their fist. The flame forms a massive blue ball of flames and lightning around their fist, and in the process reveals the figure to be Tetsu, with his steely body practically glowing blue and hair flowing like blue flames. Sasaki quickly tries to get away, but it's already too late as Tetsu drives his flaming fist and the massive ball of fire into his stomach. Tetsu. Big bang. The massive ball would explode into a brilliant blue burst of flames that launches Sasaki like a cannonball. Sasaki loses consciousness while flying through the air before he too hits the birdcage. Tetsu would try to catch his breath as he watched Sasaki fall and hit the ground. He tries taking a step forward but finds himself physically unable to do so and at the same time would notice his flames extinguishing. Tetsu. Crap, guess I burned myself out. Tetsu says before falling on his back. Tetsu. Sorry, everyone, the rest is up to you. Tetsu says before finally losing consciousness. Epicenter of the birdcage. The man responsible for all the chaos happening on the island, Doflamingo, can be seen sitting atop a fallen statue with furrowed brows. Doflamingo. First Lao Ji in page 1 and now Match Vise and Sasaki have lost. What's going on here? The brat should still be on his way here. Am I supposed to believe that someone else took them down? There's only 2 other pirate punks with bounties on this island and they don't even break 100 million. I suppose I'll have to take care of them before I get to law. Doflamingo is about to get up but stops when he notices approaching him from the distance. A wide grin would creep its way back onto Doffy's face as he gets off the statue and begins walking to the figure. He'd walk into an open plaza where he came face to face with Izuku. Doflamingo. Fufu, you made it. Izuku. Yeah, I made it. Doflamingo. I like the new look, I always felt that 2 eyes didn't look good on you. Izuku. Honestly, I feel blessed about it. I've got one less eye to look at you with after all. Doflamingo. Come now, don't be like that. How long has it been since we last met face to face? This is cause for celebration. Izuku. You're right, I suppose it has been a while. Izuku says as he briefly flashes back to a certain memory where Doflamingo's holding him over a ledge by his neck. Izuku. Looking back, there was about 100 times difference in power between you and me. Hell, looking at the 2 of us right now, there's still 100 times difference. Izuku says causing Doflamingo's smirk to widen. Doflamingo. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. If you understand the situation then go and bring me Law's head already. Izuku. You seem to have overlooked something very important. Doflamingo. Izuku. Don't get me wrong, there is still in fact 100 times difference between us. Izuku would say while getting down on one knee. He then proceeds to place his right hand on the ground in front of him. Izuku. Winter Wonderland. A blast of cold air would wash over the area, surprising Doflamingo. The sky would darken and in a mere instant, the entire island would become covered in a thick layer of snow. Doflamingo would simply stare down shocked at the sight of the snow. Doflamingo. This power. Izuku. Compared to back then. Doflamingo looks up to see Izuku stand back up straight. Izuku pounds his right fist against his chest twice before pointing his thumb at himself with a smirk. Izuku. I'm 10,000 times the man I used to be. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.